So we are on day 3 and we're taking a little bit of a deviation. We had a math department meeting on Friday and they have asked us to all follow the alternative learning plan, which the Hampton City Schools math department put together. And it's a pretty good plan. They've already got things laid out for us. The key is now more than ever, since everybody's doing the exact same stuff, I know answer keys will be flying out there, and I just don't want anybody submitting somebody else's work and taking credit for it. So you're going to have to start showing your work. Here's Kaylin. Wonderful. Hey, Kaylin. Kaylin, I see the top of your bedroom walls. Why do you guys always aim up? There she is. Hello. Good to see you. Okay, so let me just go over where you're going to get to the ALP. So, oh, snap. What was that? Okay, so here is your White 5 class SOL. Remember, you're always in the classwork tab under Google Classroom. And day 3, I posted the link to get to the main alternative learning plan. But the 2 things that I want you to do, actually the 3 things I want you to do are these 3 tabs here. There's a day 1 SOL warm-up, an exit ticket, and there's a Desmos. So the warm-up looks like this. And obviously all you could do is say 1 is D, 2 is A, 3 is C, and then turn it in. But that doesn't show me any level of work. So what I want you to do is download it, try and write on it with Kami or DocHub. You can actually, with a very light pencil, you can actually write on your Chromebook screen is what I was told. So if you're having a hard time typing this stuff in, get your light pencil and touch the Chromebook screen and see if it'll do that. Remember, don't bear down too hard, but I was told it's okay to use a pencil on your Chromebook screen. I wish I remembered who told me that, so if it goes wrong, I could say, it was her fault, not mine. But do show me some work, okay? This one is just perfect squares. So that one you could easily do by just guessing. And then this one, you're going to have to do factor trees. Okay. This one, you're going to have to do the keep, change, flip, and I'll show you how to do that later on. And then the other activity in your Google Classroom is the exit ticket. And that looks like this. And I definitely want to see work here. And I want to see work here, but you should be able to go back to the factoring day when we did perfect cubes and look for that formula. Okay, so keep, change, flip, perfect cubes, and then submit it. And when you submit, what I want you to do is go to this assignment tab, and please don't just click the words turned in. I'm getting a lot of turned in with no work. Like, see, Tamaya actually did turn something in because I can see her work. But sometimes people click turned in and there's absolutely nothing there. And if there's nothing there, then I'm not going to accept it. I'm not sure how Tamaya, let's see what Tamaya did. So I honestly don't know how she's done this without waiting for the lesson, but there should be a file that I see here. Ah, there we go. Okay, so here's her work right here. It looks like she's done the exit ticket. But I need to see everything in that spot so I can actually say, yes, she did it. Go back. So I can say, yes, she did it, okay? And then I'll return it. And then you guys will get credit for it. But don't just click in the turned in tab without showing me something. So she did the right thing, but she still owes me, I think, one more piece of work. And then the Desmos activity, if I go back, the Desmos activity is a card sort. So you're going to do this factoring card sort. So you're going to see these quadratics, and you have to hook the 2 factors that go with them. So if I said x squared plus 2x minus 15 is factored by x minus 3 and x plus 5, then you should have the cards linked. They'll actually attach if you drag them. So you can drag anything together, but they have to be the right ones. Please don't just throw everything together. Actually, and then you can pull them apart if you don't like it. Okay, so for the card sort, there's, I think, 2 slides where you have to do a card sort. You have to do the last one, or the third one, and the first one. Okay, any questions on the card sort? No. Okay. So those are the 3 things that I'm looking for. If you're wondering, what does she need for me to turn in? Those are the 3 things. Okay. So here's what I understand, and I'm not sure, I haven't gotten it in writing, but I think they're going to give you the verified credit for the SOL if you successfully complete the learning plan. Now, this doesn't mean just randomly checking off boxes and throwing things together. This means actually understanding it. So if you have an understanding of the stuff in the learning plan, then I think they're going to give you the verified credit. I don't know how they're going to do that, because you won't have a score for your SOL, but I think you'll get the credit. And then this way they won't have to test you in the fall. I'll learn more about this later. I'm still fuzzy on the details. So today we're going to simplify rational expressions, solve rational equations, and I just showed you where the links to all your homeworks are. They're in the Google Classroom. I've been calling it GC. And please don't forget to upload everything by the Sunday night after I give you that assignment. So if I give you an assignment on Tuesday and Thursday, I want everything by Sunday night. Please stop emailing these to me, because when you email them to me, I have to download them, rename them, put them in a folder, and check you off. It's just so much easier for me to go into GC and actually say, oh, I see who's done it. Like, let's go to the factoring one. So for the Who Killed Mr. Factor, I needed to see your 10 factor boxes. And so, like, Kaylin, I see that you turned it in, but I don't see your there's nothing here. So until I get the actual factor boxes here, you can't get credit for it. Jaden, Kaylin, everybody's clicking turned in, but I'm not getting your work. And so if I'm not getting your work, like down here, London I have work for. I think Ryan Wells sent me work. Stephen, I don't think I have anything from you. No, actually, Ryan, I don't either. So I need to actually see the work in Google Classroom. That's makes my life so much easier. Okay. Any questions so far? Nothing in chat. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so the ALP is what I'm now putting in Google Classroom. So it is the actual learning plan that we're kind of just taking a path different from where I was headed. You won't know what I was going to do, so it won't matter. There was actually a really cute penguin activity where we stack his icebergs to match up the radicals today, but we can't do that because that's not in their ALP. They want us to follow their ALP. But what I post in Google Classroom is the alternative learning plan. Here's the catch. It's a different day. So if you go to the alternative learning plan, they tell you, let's see, what's today? Today is the 21st. They tell you what to do on the 21st, and I'm telling you we're going to do this day. We are actually ahead of the game. We're on this day because the first week was all sequences in series, and we've already done that entire chapter. We've already learned it. So we're on Thursday, the 23rd, even though today is only the 21st. Okay. So I'm glad you asked that question. Thank you for asking that. Any other questions? No. And I'll show you when I go over that, I will actually post it. Right here, and it tells you we're on the 23rd. So the very last slide of the notes, which I'll post, will tell you which day we're doing. So there shouldn't be any question about it. So please make sure you're doing the day's work. I tell you, even if it's not the right day in the ALP. All right. And back to the lesson. Okay. And somebody asked me for the hotline number the other day. Please make a note of this. These people are so incredibly helpful. If your Chromebook is not working, if your screen is cracked, these people can set you straight. So the technology hotline, they've got somebody live Monday through Friday from about, I want to say 8:30 to 4:30. I could be wrong, but these guys are really great. They're not working Saturdays and Sundays. All right, so let's move. Okay, so today's rational equations and expressions. So if you have x's in a fraction on top and bottom, you've got a rational expression. And the way we simplify it is we get rid of common factors. So as long as everything up on top is a multiple and everything on the bottom is a multiple, I can say x minus 1 matches top and bottom. So I'm left with this. So my answer would have to be this guy. Okay? Sometimes they will make you factor it. So up here, there is a common factor of 5. So if I factor the 5 out, that's my GCF, then I get an x minus 3. And again, the x minus 3's match, so I have 5 over x plus 3. Okay? All right. And again, here's one where we had to factor the bottom. The top is perfectly factored, but the bottom, I can take a GCF of 2, because 2 goes into 2 and 50, and x, because x goes into x and x cubed. And so when I take that GCF out, this is what it looks like. 2x times, remember you divide 2x cubed by 2x and I got x squared, and I divided negative 50x by 2x and I got negative 25, because here the x's cancel and negative 50 over 2 is negative 25. And I'm hoping you guys recognize this as a difference of perfect squares, so I can further do x squared minus 25 into x plus 5 and x minus 5. Now you can see I've got an x plus 5 here and an x plus 5 here. I have an x here and an x here. And so when all is said and done, I am left with the x minus 2 on top, the 2 and the x minus 5 on the bottom. Okay, I'm going to pause, check out everybody's faces, see if anybody has any questions. Doesn't look it. Stephen, I can't see your face. Sanaya, I see the top of your head only. Are we good? There it is. All right, I'm flying through this. Okay. And again, there was a GCF in this one of 3a. And so when I took the 3a out, I was left with a squared minus 25. And it all kind of works out to be the same thing. That's a plus 5 and a minus 5. You take the square root of each. So I got a plus and a minus. And then look at this. The pluses cancel. But remember, I can't cancel all three of these because it has to be a one-to-one match. And the a's cancel. And then I'm left with the 3, the a minus 5, the a plus 5. All right. And again, when you guys are watching these videos, again, you can pause them. So for this one, remember if you're multiplying two rational expressions, this one's rational and this one's rational, you just slide through that dot and say, I'm going to multiply everything on the top together and everything on the bottom together. So immediately I see, oh, look, a plus 2 cancels. And then I'm going to be left with 6a cubed over a. But don't forget that when you have stacked variables to different exponents, you subtract. 3 minus 1 is 2. So it's going to be this one. Let me see who just entered. It's Dorian. Where is he? Sometimes it takes a while. Welcome, Dorian. I'm glad you're here. Okay, I got to see your face just real quick, just to make sure it's you. You don't have to stay on there forever, but I do want to see your face. Okay, good enough. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so this is another multiplication one. I'm going to slide through the dot, and I'm going to say 3 times 5 is 15, and 10 times 3 is 30. And then I just left the yz to the fourth, and then x, y to the fourth z. And now what I'm going to do is break this into the 15 over 30, the 1 over the x, the y over the y to the fourth, and the z to the fourth over z, because I can simplify each of these pieces at a time. So 15 over 30 is 1/2. 1 over x is still 1 over x. Y over y to the fourth, remember, I'm going to say 4 minus 1. So 4 minus 1 is 3, and since the 4 was the bigger one, I keep the 3 on the bottom. And then this is also 4 minus 1 is 3, so I keep the z to the third on top. So that looks like this one. Okay, moving right along. Okay, when you have a division problem with two rational expressions, remember we keep this one, so I kept it exactly the same. I changed this to multiplication, so I got a multiplication dot, and I flipped this one upside down. So I took the x squared minus x minus 12, put it on top, the 2x squared minus 5x minus 12 here on the bottom. And now that I have this multiplication dot, I'm going to slide through the dot. You can't slide through division, but you can slide through multiplication. So now what I have to do is factor all 4 of these expressions so we can see which common factors will cancel. And I hope you guys remember that 4x squared minus 9 is the difference of perfect squares. So you're going to get a square root of 4x squared is 2x, square root of 9 is 3. So you're going to get a 2x plus 3 and a 2x minus 3. For the next 3, I did factor boxes. And I'm just going to So for this one, it's 1, negative 12, negative 1. Remember, it's A, C, B. And the factors of 1 are 1 and 1. For negative 12, I chose a negative 4 and a positive 3. If you multiply across, 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. 1 times 3 is 3. When you add these two, you get negative 1. So check, which means my factors are in the box. So this is 1x plus 3. And this is 1x minus 4. So you see them there. And then I did the same for the next two, and I'll let you just look at these. And I got these factors. And now it's time to start canceling common ones. So I notice I have 2x plus 3 common. I have x plus 3 common. And I have x minus 4 common. So my final answer will be 2x minus 3 over x plus 2. All right? So that's your keep, change, flip. And now we have to talk about LCMs. You need, when you're subtracting or adding rational expressions, you need to have common denominators. Well, look, lucky us, we have a common denominator. They're both x's. So that means I can merge it into one fraction by saying y plus z minus z all over x. And your z's cancel, so you get a y over x. Okay, again, I need an LCM. So the first thing I'm going to do is factor these two. So there's nothing I can factor here. So if I just leave these two alone, I'm still going to get 3x plus 4 over x minus 3. Now here, I see a GCF. So I know that 3 goes into 12 and negative 3. If I divide that out, I get 4 minus x squared. And I hope you recognize 4 minus x squared is the difference of perfect squares. So that would be x plus 2 and x minus 2. And then this down here, I think I did a factor box. So I'm sorry, it'd be 2 minus x and 2 plus x. Never switch the order around like I just did. I keep doing that. And now I can say common factor here is the x plus 2 and the x minus and the 2 plus x. Since they're both positives, I can say these two perfectly match. Well, look, I now have an x minus 3 as my denominator, which is my LCM. So what I'm going to do is say if I have the same denominator, I'm just going to merge these two numerators. So this is 3 times 2 minus x is 6 minus 3x minus 3x plus 4. Remember, when you have a minus, it changes every sign of the next fraction's numerator. So that became negative 3x and minus 4 all over the LCM, x minus 3. So 6 minus 4 is 2. And negative 3x minus 3x is 6x all over x minus 3. And then I tried to factor the 2 out, but it didn't make a difference. So really, I could have used this as my final answer. Since nothing cancels here, really, I'm going to go back to that as my final answer. And then I made a point here to check your answer in Desmos, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So here was the original equation. So if I go back to Desmos, I need you to move. I go back to Desmos, and I put in the original equation. And then I said, and here was my answer. Watch what happens when I take the blue bubble and turn it off. It's right on top of the red bubble. So the red and the blue are the exact same. They're equivalent, which means that we did do it right. So that's what I mean by check your answer in Desmos. You can take the answer and you can take the two fractions, and as long as they match, that's perfect. Okay, this is another one with LCMs, and I'm just going to uncover it for you. So I factored this and I factored this, and then my LCM turned out to be whatever is common in both denominators. So I have an x plus 2, well, not common, whatever you take, you have to have one of everything in the denominators. So I have an x plus 2, I have an x plus 3, and this one has an x minus 3, but I've already taken care of the x plus 3, so I don't need to count it twice. So there's your LCM right there. So what I'm going to do is say, okay, so this fraction has the x plus and the 2 and the x plus 3, but it's missing the x minus 3, so I had to add it here and here. And then this fraction had the 2 x plus and minus 3s, but it didn't have the x plus 2, so I had to add it here, and I had to add it here. And now that I have all of the same denominators, I can merge the two fractions and just say it's all over the same LCM. So remember, this is 3 times x is 3x. 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Minus, so everything on this side changes sign. So 2x plus 4 will be negative 2x minus 4. And then 3x minus 2x is x. Negative 9 minus 4 is negative 13, all over my LCM. Okay, I'm going to pause. I'm going to look at the chat room, see if there's anything there. Hi, Stephen. I know you're still here. And let me see. Okay, I'm going to keep going because I'm trying to make these shorter so people will watch the videos. So here is a complex fraction. You have a fraction inside a fraction. Let me just show you what it looks like first. A fraction inside a fraction. So I'm going to do keep, change, flip. I'm going to keep the top fraction, change the bar to multiplication, that's multiplication, and flip the bottom fraction. So now it's 10 over 6k instead of 6k over 10. Now when you multiply, I can multiply 2k times 10 and get 30k. I'm sorry, 20k, and 5 times 6k and get 30k. And notice that the k's will cancel, and 20 over 30 is just 2/3. And again, I can put this in Desmos and this in Desmos, and they should be the same thing. But remember, change all variables that are not x to x, or else it won't show up. Okay. And then here's a rational equation. If you have one fraction equals another fraction, you may cross multiply, only if there's one on this side and one on this side. So 4 times 5 equals x times 2x minus 3. 4 times 5 is 20, 2x minus 3 times x is this. I moved the 20 over. I did a factor box to get my two factors, and I set each factor equal to 0. So if you set 2x plus 5 equal to 0 and x minus 4 equal to 0, you should get the two answers. Okay. Hopefully everybody's got that. Oh, and the one thing I want to remind you is always check these two solutions to make sure they don't make either of my two denominators equal to 0, because if they do, then they're extraneous. So let me type that in. Check solutions for extraneous answers. Okay. This one is another irrational expression. Let me see if I can cover some of this up before we start getting overwhelmed by so much. Okay, so it's a rational equation, but I can't cross multiply because I have two fractions equal a third. But what I did do is I factored all the denominators. And when you factor x squared minus x, you get x times x minus 1. Well, since this one has an x, and this one has an x minus 1, and this one has both, that makes that the LCM. So this fraction is missing the x minus 1, and this fraction is missing the x. So I went and added them both in. Here I added the x minus 1, and here I added the x. Now that your denominators match, you line through them. This only works for equations. That's why I put this note here. You don't line through them if it's an expression. And then you just solve the numerator part. So you solve 2 times x minus 1 plus 6 times x equals 6, and that ends up being x is 1. But notice if I put a 1 here, that's fine. If I put a 1 here, 1 minus 1 is 0. That's not fine. And also 1 squared minus 1 is also not fine. So because x equals 1 makes my denominator 0, I have to say that is an extraneous solution. So I don't really have any solutions to this problem. Okay, and this is the final slide. So we are actually doing the work on the alternative learning plan for 423. Today is 421, so we're a day ahead. So we're going to do 423. You're not going to do the goal sheet or the problem solving process. You are going to do the warm up and the exit ticket and then the Desmos card sort. Okay, I am going to take a pause here, see if I can turn everybody's. Okay. So let me call you out one at a time. So everybody just went back to mute. What just happened? Did I do that? Okay, so Dorian, have you got any questions for me? Anything at all? I can hear you if you talk.
No.
Nope, you're good? Okay, how about Faith? Do you have any questions?
No.
How about Kaylin? How about you? No, Kaylin? Okay. What about Sanaya? Do you have any questions? And how about Stephen? You're back to muted again. You good?
No.
Okay, I hear you. Okay. All right, guys. That is it. So hopefully you understand that we're kind of doing a new thing. We're following the alternative learning plan, but we're one day ahead. So don't do the things that I've crossed out, only do the 3 things I've circled, and all 3 things are in your Google Classroom under the classwork tab for day 3. Okay, this is just the link to the whole alternative learning plan. I hope it doesn't confuse you, but these are the 3 things I want today. When you post your work, I need it to be clicked under the view assignment so I can see your exit ticket and your warm up. So make sure I get this. The card sort, you don't have to show me any of your work. I'll be fine with just the card sort. But remember, when you're done with that card sort, all of these boxes should be linked. There should be 3 cards per box. And don't do this because then I can't check it. Okay? Make sure you leave it whole so I can look and verify that you actually know what you're doing. And you didn't just, well, I want to be done, so let me just throw 3 together. Oh, good, we're almost there. Don't do that, okay? Make sure I can actually make sense of your work or I'm going to have you go back and do it again. All right, I am done. If you have anything you want, you can email me. We can do a personal video chat or just email me anything that you have and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Other than that, you guys take care. Faith, do you have something?
Yeah, so we don't take a screenshot. You can already see it when we're done.
Yeah, you don't have to take a screenshot of Desmos because I am the master of the Desmos. That sounded really stupid. I have a teacher's Desmos and I can go in and pull you guys all up. So you don't have to do a screenshot of Desmos. That's a good question. I'm glad you asked that. I'll put that in the notes. Anybody else? Okay. Okay, guys. It is always great seeing you. Thank you for showing up. I think you guys are doing a fabulous job of working through all this and difficult times, and I cannot tell you how pleased I am every time I get to see your faces. Take care.